Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Book Spotlight, and today we're going to talk about Zomtropolis, A Record of Life in a Dead City, which, as of this recording, is my latest release. It came out in October 31st, 2023, right on Halloween, and here we are just in early 2024 talking about it because that's just the way the video flow went in terms of book spotlights. But anyway, this is the latest one. As you can see, we got creepy zombie girls on the cover and wrapping around all the way to the back. So I thought I'd talk about this book in two parts. One is the creative side, which I'll try to keep brief, and then the other side, of course, is the book itself. So on the creative level, this book was 15 years in the making. I started it in July of 2028 and finished it approximately endish of September or so of 2023. And so that's about 15 years. And the reason it took so long was when I first started writing it, it was meant to be just like written start to finish, read the book, call it good. But things happen and it fell by the wayside. And so it became what my readers have known me to call eventual book. And an eventual book is a book that you work at just here and there, and eventually it becomes a book. A short story collection is a classic example of an eventual book, right? You got to write all the short stories first before you make the book. So anyway, that's that. So from a creative point of view, that's how that started. It was a long process. And of course, the man who started writing this book is different than the man who finished writing this book. So I kind of had to reconcile those two voices, so to speak, to make the book flow and make it consistent throughout in terms of tone. And what I also wanted to do with this book, very importantly, was I wanted to create or explore the idea of, so a zombie apocalypse happens, right? And you're the only person left. And where do you go from there? What do you do, right? Well, we kind of got a taste of that in the famous I Am Legend movie, the Will Smith thing. But, his character is a lot different than the character in this. I mean, his character was more of a military man. So he had sort of, I guess you could say, the mental training, so to speak, to look at these types of situations analytically and problem solve and all the rest. But what happens if you're just an average Joe? What happens to you? What happens to you mentally, right? So I wanted to explore that with this book. So before I quickly get into that part of it, basically this book is told journal style and is told in first person. For me as a writer, this was my first person book since I wrote my love story, April, under my pseudonym Peter Fuchs, way back in the early 2000s. Every other book I've written since then have always been in third person, so multiple points of view. I prefer writing third person for a lot of reasons. I steer away from first person on purpose for other writerly reasons. But this one came out in first person, and from a writing point of view, it was refreshing actually because, again, I'm used to third person, so to do something first person is very easy to do because why? We all live our lives first person. I do this, I do that, I think this, I think that, I say this, I say that. No one lives their lives from someone else's perspective. We all live our own lives from our own perspective, right? So from a writing point of view, that part was straightforward and simple. But what I wanted to do was, again, look at this idea of what would happen to a person's mind if they were alone during a zombie apocalypse. What would the progression be? And frankly, I think you would eventually, you would start to lose it. You would. It would be probably a slow decline and then maybe a slippery one towards the end. But yeah, you would slowly degrade. You'd have no choice because, like, society as we know it forms us as who we are and how we react to things and how we think about things. But when society's gone and all that's left is monsters, well, what happens to your brain? So I use a story technique called it's called the unreliable narrator, and what that is it makes the reader question what the narrator is telling them. It makes the reader wonder: is this happening for real, or is this in the narrator's head? And that's part of the point of the storyline of Zomtropolis. Is I wanted the reader to as they read the book, look at every scene and go, and plausibly go, this could very well be real, or this could very well be him being a bit nuts. And the thing is, that's for you to decide as a reader. So that's the mystery part of this book. And so that really, for me, was a fun challenge, because I had to explore the mind space of someone going slowly crazy without it becoming comical or campy, and making it dumb. Like, oh, clearly he's being crazy, right? Like, I had to blur that line between reality and fiction and try to make the reader see if they could see that line. So that's for the writing part of it. Now, the story part. This, at its core, is a love story. It is. It's a love story. But it's not a romance. It's not anything like that. It's not a relationship story. It's not like that. It's to do with the love side of it. It has to do with the idea of love gone wrong, and the power of love, and what it can do to a person if it goes bad. And I'm sure those watching this at some point in their lives have gone through a major heartbreak, so we know the impact that kind of love gone wrong can have on a person, not just in their heart, but in their head too. And sometimes, things go really bad, love-wise, for people, and yeah, they're really affected for the rest of their lives. How it is. And then now, of course, the exciting zombie part of this. I wanted the story to take place in the nearish future, so it's a futuristic story in terms of that. But by nearish future, I'm referring somewhere in the range between 30 to 50 years from now. So the technology in this book is, some of it's advanced, yes, like there's flying cars, for example. But at the same time, there's also technology that you and I use, just slightly better, because, of course, we're further along technology advancements at the point of the story. And yes, technology will still run for a while during a zombie apocalypse. Despite what TV tells you, everything doesn't just shut down the second zombies show up, right? That the shutting down of things would be a progressive decline. It wouldn't be boom, over, like they have us believe in most stories. Anyway, so I wanted to explore that angle of it as well, sort of doing it in a nearish future and giving the reader a bit of a dystopian sci-fi sort of effect tone to the story, as well, in terms of atmosphere, place, and setting, and time. Okay, and then in terms of the narrator, his name is Marty. He's the main character. He's the guy telling the story. I wanted him as well to be a character that you both like and also that you don't like. I wanted him to be your average person, again, flawed, like big time flawed. And he's a drunk, for crying out loud, so that kind of thing too. So I wanted to play around a little bit with that. So yeah, Zomtropolis, from a creative point of view and a storytelling point of view, was unique for me as a storyteller, to do things that way. It wasn't sort of a straightforward narrative like my other zombie work or my superhero work, So yeah, so what I want to do, I'm going to read for you the back of the book, and I'm going to give you the synopsis, and then I'll give you a little bit of something at the end. So, tagline: she came back into his life only to die on him. This transmission is a record of life in a dead city. Marty loves Selena, maybe too much, but after their breakup, everything went to hell, including the world around him. Now, alone in a zombie-infested city, Marty must come to terms with what's happened both to his heart and to the world around him. The journal begins and is transmitted to you while he deals with the past, the present, even the future, including the woman who tore his heart out and has come back into his life again, except she keeps dying on him and returning from the dead. Is he slipping? Have too many nights with the bottle messed with his brain? Or is Marty simply falling apart because the world has died? Hope, loss, pain, the undead. Welcome to Zomtropolis. And there you have it, folks. Zomtropolis, my latest monster book release. Coming right at you. It's available on in both paperback and ebook at your favorite online retailer, and also through your local bookstore. So support local as well. I really hope you enjoyed what you heard here. I hope you enjoyed the story synopsis, and I hope you check out the book. My editor said I pulled off the trick of making the reader question what's real and what's not, which was something I was kind of worried about, and it seemed to turn out. So you decide for yourself. Is this real? Is this in Marty's head? Is it both? Zomtropolis. Cheers. See you next book spotlight video. And I'll try not to stutter next time. Okay, take care. Bye.